Hey everybody, Paul Fontaine alongside Jeff Hawkins. We're back with the Dynamite Show. I want to say hi to everyone watching and listening on YouTube and everyone that is listening on the Fight Game Media free feed on
Hello
Thursday
to
morning.
anyone new who followed over from Fightful as well.
Oh yeah, you were on the Raw post show on Monday, so we'll talk about that at the end. But so and if you're listening and watching, make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to the feed and to the YouTube channel and like as well. That helps us with our exposure. But before we get into this week's Dynamite, I mean, it's an AEW show. We got to talk about Jinder Mahal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in a way.
Yeah.
There was no boom to handle this, so we have to.
No, Tony Khan lost his mind Tuesday. I guess he was getting some flack about Hook calling out Samoa Joe. Like, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was good. I don't know. Anybody complaining I think they're just complaining to complain. Like, what's the problem? The guy's lost once in like 3 years. He wants to challenge for the world title. It's about time. That's what I say. He's going to lose, but that's fine. But he, saw these people that are mad at him. So Tony Khan brings up the fact that Jinder Mahal has lost all of his TV matches and he's only won one match in the last year and he's getting a world title shot, and bad WWE and good AEW. And he just opened himself up for ridicule because of all the people in AEW that get title shots all the time without winning matches.
Yes. There's two facets to this I would like to address, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The first is, Roger Geary set him off for some reason because he was talking about like cage match ratings or something to that effect.
Didn't USA Network get in on that too?
Yeah, well, no, it was a USA Network tweet.
Okay, yeah.
About Jinder but look, we just went through a period where Abaddon, who hadn't been on TV for 3 years, or hadn't had a televised win, not Dark or Dark Elevation, televised win on either Collision or Dynamite.
Yeah.
Got to come back one day and challenge for the title. And you're just challenge for the number one contender.
Didn't she? Yeah. She got in a number one contenders match on Halloween.
But she hadn't had a televised win in 3 year.
Something like that, yeah.
How'd she become? Yeah, okay. Tony's not allowed to talk about inconsistent booking. Okay, but it goes to a deeper problem that I brought up on the Hook Awards.
Yes.
Tony wants to be and I'm going to speak with some empathy here as opposed to just pure criticism. Tony has built AEW. He should be lauded for that. Mm-hmm. I think he also wants the credit for that. And he grew up in a time where Mr. McMahon was the main character on his show. And he's become an adult and a businessman in a time where tech bros are and innovators are the faces of their companies. Steve Jobs for Apple, Bill
Mark
Gates
Zuckerberg.
for Microsoft, Zuckerberg for Facebook, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I think that is a lot of what drives him in terms of, I'm going to be the face for AEW because I'm the corporate face. This is my company. I have built it. Please me. Where, to me, I mean, he hasn't done the greatest job of sending his wrestlers out there to do promotional work. They've mostly been left on their own devices and stuff. And it would be, really nice. All you need is a guy in a suit looking cool. You don't need the belt. You don't need, WWE loves to do costumes and stuff like The Undertaker in public. Yeah. You don't need that. Put Joe in a suit at front row of an NBA game. The champ is here. Put him on a panel show of some kind, talking anything other than wrestling. And as long as he's not talking about the goofy stuff, and as long as you don't go on a show where like you get a host like Conan O'Brien going, isn't this stuff fake or whatever, and where he has to play pro wrestler.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who does pro wrestling for a living. And you make wrestling ultimately cooler than it is. And I think people don't get that. I think it's like, actors don't always have to be in character wherever they go.
Yeah.
Type of a
thing. And it doesn't just have to be Joe. I mean, they got a lot of other people.
But Joe's the champ, so he's the one, and he's also the best at this. I mean, I think the danger in doing it with like Adam Cole is, he's
well,
five.
smaller than the host.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wrestler, I could do that. There's
I was thinking more along the lines of Kenny Omega is really good at that sort of thing.
Britt
Sometimes
Baker's good at that kind of thing
Britt
too.
Baker,
I think.
yeah. Even I bet you Julie Hart would probably be all right in it. And she's a champion.
As long as she's not playing dark and spooky.
Julia. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who's the women's champ now? I can't even remember.
Julia Hart.
No, she's a TBS champ.
No, she's the
Tony.
AEW.
No, don't send
Tony
Tony
Storm,
out there.
That's right. Yeah, don't do Tony in character.
No. But yeah, I know. I
Unless
agree.
It's a morning show, then maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that might work.
Because the problem when they did this with MJF is MJF would always be, kind of a prick when he did.
Yeah. But it got over. Like I think
did.
everybody liked it, and and he was good at that sort of thing too.
But Tony's not the main character.
No,
and he has main character syndrome, and it's just one of those things where it's like, and he also grew up in a time when Eric Bischoff was out there.
Oh, and
as the face of WCW.
Well, too.
Yeah, it's like all these promoters. Shut up! You're not the guys. You're making your employees look bad.
And Bischoff's just needling him because he knows that it's getting to him.
Yes.
So and Bischoff, all he gets his name out there because Tony quote tweets him, and now all of a sudden Bischoff is relevant for a couple days.
Yeah, and he'll bring it up on his podcast, and Dave Meltzer will occasionally white knight and go in there and try and attack Bischoff, but
which
at the same
just
time,
gets him even more attention, which is what he wants. So it was an interesting week, and I wouldn't even have known about it if not for the Fight Game Discord, because none of those guys tagged me in their tweets, and I don't see it unless it's I don't get off of my own mentions. So that's the way to use X.
It's like. I mean, and even people in his company are like, you know what, he needs to settle down a little bit from time to time.
They've been saying that for a while. I've heard that from people. I know you.
Yeah.
He's not doing himself any favors. But you know what? The other thing is he does get, every time those things are tweeted, he's got his little plug for Dynamite on the bottom of the show. Did you catch Jinder's reply?
Who the F is Hook?
Yeah, and then with the catch Monday Night Raw on the USA Network. I love
Jinder has a good sense of humor about his position in the company, from what I've been told by people. It's like, look, he has no ego about him. I mean, he has an ego, but it's like, look, I'm getting paid even though they don't use me a lot, so I'm fine.
I mean, this could have been The Miz. It could have been, it could have been Jinder. It had to be somebody who's had a world title that they could have signed Dolph to a 90-day contract and done it with him. Like, it's.
Well, the difference here is I think Jinder probably had to clear this through somebody in the company before he tweeted it. Whereas in AEW, everybody's in their feels all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No kidding. And then they all, they get the memo to tweet about it, and they all tweet at the same time. Which is always fun. But other than that, Mercedes.
You can say that. You can say that, but I still have hopes that Layla Gray will be at Wembley this year.
Yeah, Layla Gray. What happened to her? I guess she's still on the Fight Network on OVW and all that. Yeah. I haven't seen her in a while. We did see Red Velvet today. We'll get into that. She looked good. No Mercedes tonight. I'm starting to wonder. Do
you think they'd bring her back at Daly's place?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I think they think this was a big show, but the problem is like, and I didn't even think about this last week. They had NBA on ABC going up against the show now, so for the next couple months, and I was even watching that today.
You mean ESPN or actual network?
Actual ABC.
Huh.
Yeah, it was Golden State Warriors playing today. So I caught up at one point in the show because there was a lot more stuff to fast forward through, as because I always start late. And so when I caught up, I just flipped over to the game and I watched the game for about 15 minutes. And then I went back to Dynamite, and I still caught up by the end. So
I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
About this show in particular.
Sure.
If you were a first-time viewer of wrestling or AEW, what was special about this show?
Well, so
because to me,
coming out
of this, I would be excited to want to see Sting and Darby again.
Yes. You said wrestling and AEW. So those are two different things. If it's your first time watching wrestling, it would be a different answer than if it was your first time watching AEW. Because
I don't think so.
One thing that struck me was when the show started, I could hear the crowd. They seemed loud.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see them. Like they had half the screen on the hard cam had nobody in it, and that's because of the way the setup is. It's not that they didn't sell the tickets, although I don't think this show sold a ton of tickets, but I think they had about 3,000 in there. But the way that it's set up, they have they have half the screen doesn't have any fans. Now in the pandemic, that was fine. We weren't used to seeing anybody, but now that we're out of the pandemic, it was like that was the first thing I noticed. Is this dark building with nobody in it is what it looked like, except I could hear them. So I knew they were there.
Yeah, it was mic'd well. It
was mic'd well, but you sure couldn't see them. And then whenever they would do a crowd shot, you would see all these people just standing there looking, even though you could hear people cheering. So
we're somewhat of a long way from that first pay-per-view that was in Daly's place, which was
that May 2021 one. Yeah, that was, but I mean, at that time we hadn't seen fans in so long. So even those little bit of fans we could see was great. So there was that, but yeah, I mean,
I was seeing ones before the pandemic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, those were weird. Well, it was lighter too, right? Like
it was during the day and
and this is outside too, so that's also weird. So that was the one thing I would thought if I was my first time watching AEW, but I was used to WWE, I would think, wow, this looks a lot different.
It looks
dark.
I mean,
I'd want to see Sting and Darby, obviously. I mean, if I actually watched the whole show, and I can't imagine I would have, I would have been, I don't know, like the opener was kind of fun. I thought.
I mean, I'm not saying there was anything particularly bad on this show, but it's one of those things where it was a thought that occurred to me in the time between the show ended and the time this show started, and that is for the live crowd, you're paying because you want to go see at least one thing that sticks out to you, that you'll remember, that nobody else, that, hey, I saw this live and it was awesome. And it was, maybe an angle, maybe a match, maybe somebody did something cool, because quote unquote good wrestling, your 3 to 4 star, maybe 2 to 4 star matches are the new squash matches.
Kind of, yeah.
And they kind of don't resonate. Really,
I think Darby jumping off
was the moment I was thinking.
Yeah, and then Sting, doing the thing. But even then, if it's your first time watching, you probably don't even really quite understand Sting. You know what I mean? Like you almost have to know.
It doesn't matter. You think he's probably cool because he's out there kicking ass.
Well, he's out there kicking ass, but I mean, if he's 35 or 40 and doing that, it's like okay. The fact that he's 62. Yeah, add something to it. You know what I mean?
They probably go, what the hell is that old man doing crawling up and down the ring?
But you wouldn't know he was an old man because
I was talking about Flair.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think if it's your first time watching, you probably know who Flair is, anyways.
Yeah, no, that's probably true.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that was something. And Flair's entrance was cool. They got the original music and everything.
He got pops for the chops and the eye poke, and then got out of there luckily. But
barely. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. But I mean, I would also say that the show was fine, but looking at it on paper, I think I was maybe expecting a little bit more.
I was expecting a lot more, to be honest.
Yeah, Mark Henry tweeted, "Oh, this is going to be the best show we've ever done." I think
that's hyperbole.
That's a little more than hyperbole. That's saying something. I mean, there were some cool things, and the Bucks showing up at the end was cool.
I mean, I said I thought this show was going to be a banger when I saw the lineup.
You did, yeah.
And I was like, it was good.
Well, and the funny thing is I start watching behind, and I got a little chat group going, and one of my friends said, and he said it as a joke, like he's like, "Oh, I think Claudio and Hangman is my favorite Dynamite match of the year." And it's like, well, it's the second week. It's the second week, but I'm like, not really. I liked the Takeshita Darby match last week better. So, but I mean, if you liked Hangman Claudio, that's fine too. I mean, it's not like
there's gonna be a lot of me saying this was cromulent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's get into that. And we started with Hangman and Claudio, and I know they didn't really do much like beforehand. They just kind of went right into the match, and the crowd just loved Hangman, and the announcers we're making a point of saying, so I think, for the people that may have been tuning in for the first time, AEW is about good matches and good fights. So it's not about angles or anything. It's about good matches, which is their strength, to be fair. Hangman got a beer from a fan in the front row right near the beginning, and Tony Schiavone called it a throwback. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe to before dailies, but he sure wasn't taking beer from people during the pandemic. In fact, I kind of thought that was going to end with the pandemic, but it was kind of cool to see again. Claudio threw Hangman out of the ring onto the stage as they went into a break, and they came back and they were brawling on the outside. They were brawling for a long time. And then Hangman did a running lariat from the top of the stage, knocked Claudio back in the ring. They fought in the ring for a while. Then they went back to the outside. Hangman did a moonsault off the stage. And then when they went back to the ring, Hangman reversed the tombstone. And I wrote here that the crowd went wild, but this is where I noticed every time they went to the crowd, like it was just bad camera shots because the people that they went to weren't cheering. But you could hear them cheering. This is awesome chance. And then the end came when Hangman, he'd been going for the buckshot a bunch of times and Claudio kept blocking it, but this time he hit it and then he hit a second one and he got the pin. And real good match to start. First time they've ever wrestled in a one-on-one. I think they were in the Anarchy in the Arena match against each other at the Double or Nothing this year. So that not the first time they've been in the ring together, but first time one-on-one. That was a good match.
It was a good match. You know how I'll put it to you this way. I'll frame it here. I've often complained that my problem with a lot of wrestling in terms of angles is that time never seems to progress unless everybody's at work.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like the world only starts when the cameras are rolling and it never exists anyways. This match would have been better served if that were true in this case. Because if you watched Collision, you saw Claudio basically telling Hangman, oh, you're looking for a fight. I'll give you one. If you had kept Hangman's intensity from last Wednesday going into this Wednesday and done the match with that kind of point of view to start with with a brutal brawl. I'm not talking blood feud necessarily brawl, but a brawl, a fight, something that looked like a fight. Because this was hyped as a fight and a wrestling match broke out. And that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't want to see big spins from two guys looking for a fight. You know what I'm saying? That was
and the buckshot itself just, it lends itself to having to be set up.
But it was lending itself to that. But it's like one of those things where like you have the walk-in brawls and you have enough in the world of wrestling where you can masquerade that you're setting up the buckshot eventually. And that's kind of how I wanted the match worked. And I got a good wrestling match. And I didn't want a good wrestling match here. I kind of wanted the fight. So, and I think this crowd would have been hyped if they had just come out and started throwing blows.
Well, Hangman did attack him before the bell. I did like to see that.
Yeah.
There's Claudio wrestling as a heel should drop the giant swing.
I agree.
What Jason put here about AEW piping in crowd noise, I wasn't saying that. Like, I don't think they were. I think it was just bad camera work.
Fightful reporting. Why is Paul Fontaine an AEW truther?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they weren't. It wasn't what I immediately thought. It did sound genuine. Because you could see people kind of in the background at certain points that were cheering and, it was matching what I was hearing, but it wasn't shot well. I didn't think at all. And and all night, I would say the wrestlers were, they were trying to use the set a lot. They were trying to take advantage of the fact that they had a unique setup here, which I kind of appreciated. But see, here's the thing with this show. It was billed as a homecoming. It was billed as, kind of half-assed. They did this on Twitter this week. Like, they never talked about it ahead of it. A Brodie Lee tribute show, in some ways, because we had these two random matches that we'll get into that they announced on, I think, Monday. And it was like, what they decide, like, some point over the last couple days, we should probably pay tribute to Brodie Lee because he died, right randomly close to this time about 3 years ago. It's like 3 years and 3 weeks ago. So we should have done it 3 weeks ago, but we'll do it now because we're back in Jacksonville. And Negative One was probably there Thank God he didn't come out at the end. I was gonna blow my stack, but I
Paul
won't.
Fontaine hates children. News at 11. Okay.
No, just that one. No,
Yeah, it's weird because just as an overall note, good wrestling, I tune out kind of a little bit.
yeah, I can
It's like,
see that.
oh, this is great choreography. Hooray. I could go watch ballet. When they say it's not ballet, it turns into ballet for me at times. I'm just like, okay, they're doing their moves. They don't look like they really are punching each other. They don't look like they're trying to finish the match. And this is what all these matches kind of felt like to me
Can
tonight
I
for the
say
most part.
something positive here that you
Oh,
may not
no.
even?
I liked the matches overall.
Yeah.
I'm sounding like I'm being way too negative.
But I want to say something positive that you may not actually think is positive, but I
Okay.
think it is positive for a lot of people that'll be listening and watching this. It definitely had a throwback feel to early Dynamites.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people miss that. So if that's what Homecoming was, and those 2 8-person tags as well, felt like that.
So those people want nothing but party matches, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super indie party matches.
In fact, I think there are a lot of AEW fan bases would be real happy with that. They showed highlights of Brodie's debut, and Excalibur called him the greatest TNT champion in history without a doubt.
Yeah, I did the dog thing. Huh?
Yeah, I doubt it. And he talked about his handpicked proteges, Preston Vance and Anna Jay, and how they're going to get these feature matches tonight. So I will say that tying in Preston Vance to Brodie Lee after doing that angle where he humiliated the kid a couple of years ago, it didn't resonate with me.
There needs to be some comeuppance for that, doesn't there?
Yeah, except for the fact that the Dark Order are now heels, and Preston Vance, I think, is a babyface.
Yes.
Anyways, with the LFI, I think they're babyfaces. At worst, they're tweeners, but
would have gotten this crowd on his side a lot more is just do one vignette where I know you hate the kid, but comes in and he apologizes.
Exactly. They could have done a thing where
that would have been great. I think
shows up at his birthday or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure. I mean, obviously, the kid. I'm sure Preston is still his favorite wrestler, right? In fact, that's probably why he was in this match.
No, he's moved on. He's moved on to like FMW from 1992. So
no, he probably
Hayabusa is now his favorite wrestler.
No, he probably likes Commander, and that's why we see Commander every week challenging for belts. So we got the next match. It was Orange Cassidy, Adam Copeland, Dustin Rhodes, and Preston Vance, the most random tag team that you've ever seen, against the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage and Lance Archer for some reason. Which they actually use this to build something, which I don't know if a lot of people even caught, but we'll talk about it later. So Shivani says that he would have wanted Preston Vance to be in this match on this side of the light. And I'm like, Brodie was a heel. Everybody's forgetting that. I think Brodie would have wanted him. He would have been like, why are you tagging with Cody's brother? But
if Brodie were here today, he would have had a total lack of continuity and
Brodie would have shown up and like just smacked Preston Vance over the head with his stack of papers and said, "Get on that heel team, you dipshit.
Sell for Sue. Sell for her." Yeah, that's what he done. Yeah.
And then Tony's like, when you think about it, it really does work. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. So they had the match, and it was just a party match. Everyone getting their spots in. Orange Cassidy was trying to do choke slams, and he eventually hit one on, I can't remember who, Brian Cage maybe, or it might have been Lance Archer. Like he hit this choke slam, and then he immediately got cut off. So, it was on Bishop Khan actually. So the crowd went nuts for that. And then he started posing like he was Hulk Hogan. And then that kind of led into the finishing sequence. So Archer gave him a boss man slam. They did the exact same thing in this match and the ladies match. And it worked. Yes,
I was going to say that. Both these matches were worked the very same way.
Yeah. And it's fine because the crowd loved it. And I mean, for what it was fine. You knew going in, that Preston Vance is getting the pin in the men's match and Anna Jay's getting the pin in the women's match. And that's exactly what happened on both times. So Archer gave Orange Cassidy a boss man slam. Vance gave him a pump kick and got no reaction. Then Toy Leone hit a Samoan drop on Preston Vance. Lance Archer accidentally booted Bishop Khan. Cage got in there and squared off with Archer, and he looked tiny, which tells you something about how big Lance Archer is. And then Adam Copeland speared Cage, and then Vance hit the Brodie Lariat on Brian Cage, and the camera didn't even catch it, but they told us at least, and he got the win. And so Preston Vance standing tall. Nice party match, but they missed the finish, which was bad.
Brian Cage was the best thing about this match.
He's great in these matches.
Okay.
No, he usually is. Like he's,
but he was the ring general here for the most part too, because it was
Copeland was just there having fun. He mailed it in completely.
Copeland and Dustin and in some way did.
Is Dustin on his way out?
Overall? I don't think so.
Oh. No, I just want to make maybe he's going back to WWE. I don't know. I just feeling okay. They showed him on NXT this week.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is fine. I'm continually baffled though, because Brian Cage continues to bring it every week.
Oh yeah.
And that he loses like half of these things. But it's just It's weird that he was. It's just one of those things where it's weird. Where like once he re-signed, they started using him weekly, but when they had him under contract, he like a year without being used at all.
Yeah, and his wife bitched, and then all of a sudden they started using him again. And he's like,
Melissa Santos is the key to a push. That's what.
Now, now I got to work. He's like, I was sitting at home getting paid. Now they're making me work.
He wanted to work, and he wanted to jump at the time too. So, yeah, I mean, this was what it was, but it was worked exactly the same. Both 8-person matches were the same, and it's kind of a shame. I don't particularly like these types of matches because there's always that one time where everybody hits a signature move on somebody else. I hate that, to be honest with you, but that's that's the nature of wrestling today.
This one was a little better than the other one just because the workers are better, but I mean they're basically the same match. Renee was backstage with the Guns and Jay White. Austin was like fooling around behind Renee, just making like rabbit ears and playing with her hair. She was getting annoyed. And Jay said the Undisputed Kingdom is going after all the gold, but whatever they can do, we can do better. And he starts talking about how they're going to win belts, but the Acclaimed and Billy showed up and says, and then Anthony Bowen says, we could be unstoppable holding all the gold. And then he's like, but not ours. And then Austin says, no, we'd all hold gold at the same time. And he said, listen to the fans. They're cheering you guys almost as much as us. We should be the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. Oh, God. I like my Bullet Club pink better. But White says, we're not a faction. We're a gang. So just stay by your phones and we'll get back to you. And Austin tried to hang around with them, but Jay pulled him away. And they said something here about a fax machine, I think. And then Taz said, hey, I still got a fax machine.
Yeah,
I think that was a dig at Dave Meltzer, but I could be wrong.
It might be. Well, they told Billy Gunn to stay by his fax machine since he still had one because they knew him. And so this feels like they're going to tease it, and then eventually Bullet Club Gold's going to turn on him. Yeah,
like that'll probably be the trios title match at Revolution, and they'll probably win because it's about time for the Acclaimed to lose those belts anyway. So, and honestly, they'd be great trios champs because they'll have great matches with anybody.
I actually think this wouldn't be a bad stable if the Acclaim turned heel.
Yeah, and Billy in there as the I mean they're gonna get cheered eventually, and by eventually, I mean like right away. But it could be fun. Could be fun.
I kind of need a Billy Gunn and Juice Robinson team up.
Oh my God.
Once.
Yeah.
Just for the ridiculousness of it all.
God, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
And next we got something else. Samoa Joe comes out to address the crowd. He's in a suit, and he looks great.
Yes,
and he says, "I stand before you as the AEW World Champ." Fans are chanting, "Thank you, Joe." They don't care that he's a heel.
It breaks him. It's corpse.
He says, "No thanks is needed." He said, "In light of that, tonight we make some changes to the championship challenge protocol. When you're the champion, you become a marked man. It's a dangerous environment. Even a devil who made a bad deal is looking for me." And he says, as a matter of fact, here are the changes. No more can you whine on this mic about your misfortune or go on your social media and make your little hoe-ass comments.
God bless him.
You bring your record and your reputation, and you submit to the championship committee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whatever that is. And if you're worthy,
Brian Danielson is the championship committee.
If you're worthy, you'll get a shot at having your ass stomped out by me. Crowd's going nuts for him. And he says, for a new championship era is here. For all of you who want a piece of me, your champion will be waiting. So, I mean, ironically,
Samoa Joe is the only heavyweight champion this company has ever had, and he's the only heavyweight champion in professional wrestling right now. All other people bow to Samoa Joe. He is the king. He is the best professional wrestler on God's green earth. He's the only person who gets it. Thank you.
5 minutes later, we had someone out there whining about
ho-ass comments. That's
yeah. But for this period of time, it was great.
I will refer to all of Tony's tweets as ho-ass comments.
Oh my!
I'm gonna quote tweet him next time he says something dumb that I don't like, and say, "Get out of here with your ho-ass comments."
Keep your ho-ass comments to yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get blocked by him. That's
and tag Samoa Joe when you do it. So out comes Swerve, and he's got the mobile embassy. That's what the mobile embassy with him. And he doesn't get in the ring. He stands at the top of the ramp. He's got a nice fur coat on. And he says, this is my first time here at Daly's place, but whose house is it? Swerve's house. So fans have already turned on Joe. And he says, a couple months ago, I told Hangman it wasn't personal. I was just after his spot. And look what happened. I took it. And he says, and I'm going to reiterate the same thing to you, Joe. And as he's saying this, he gets in the ring and he says, this isn't a personal thing. I just want that AEW championship and I'm going to take it. However, you chose to make this personal, so I'll be more than happy to. And he gets in the ring and he gets face-to-face with him. And then out comes Hangman. And he gets in the ring and he says, well, boys, if we're out here calling out shots, I'll go ahead and make mine. 2023, I beat Mox in Texas Death. I reunited with the Elite, did the Anarchy in the Arena. And as much as you found me, Swerve, I found you. But the one thing I lost sight of was the AEW World Championship. And in 2024, I'm going to make it mine. And he gets nose to nose with Swerve, and Nana pulls Swerve out of the ring. And then he gets in Joe's face and he says, what are you smirking at? I haven't forgot what you did to me either. I'm going to take this from you for it. And then he backs off and he left the ring. So before we get to what came next, what do you think of all this stuff?
I found it amazing that it looked like that Hangman Page grew 2 days worth of beard in between his Claudio match and this one. He has never looked more like Magnum TA than he did tonight.
I thought the exact same thing. Yeah.
I was amazed at how much he looked like Magnum TA tonight. I mean,
and that's a good thing, by the way.
Yeah, no, in the most positive way possible. Yeah. And if some of you are too young to know who Magnum TA is, Google him, and then you'll go, yes, Jeff was right.
Yeah.
I don't like people just standing there and listening.
Yeah.
I wanted a little bit of comeback from Joe on that. Because this is the match I want. I want Swerve and Joe to have words, and I want them to continue to have words. And he can add in Hangman too. He could even be needling Hangman and Swerve to fight.
He could have and maybe should have said something to him like, did you not hear what I just said? You got your ass beat by him twice.
Yeah.
So get to the back of the line. Something like that, like you're not coming in here and getting a title match. And then that gives Hangman motivation to start winning matches.
Yeah, Joe could just look at him and go, men are talking, and that would have been enough.
Yeah. I told you, take it to the championship committee. I'm not listening to this. Swerve's earned a title shot, but I'm not about Hangman. And then, or even, you two fight it out, and then whoever comes out of it, I'll be waiting. Something like that, because I think that's what's going to happen, actually. I think Hangman's going to beat him, Swerve. I don't know, I don't like that, but it feels like Hangman and Joe is the match right now. I think Swerve is going to get the title and probably sometime this year, but I do think it feels like Hangman and Joe, but I don't know. I could be wrong. That's the one I'm most interested in, but
Hangman and Joe?
Yeah.
Over Swerve and Joe?
For right now, yeah.
Are you insane?
No, because I think if they
Hangman
and Swerve, if they do Joe and Swerve right now, Swerve's probably going to lose.
Oh no, I don't think they're going to do it right now, but I think the end game's eventually going to be.
Oh yeah, Joe and Swerve, that's fine. But that's maybe May.
That's
Double or nothing.
Yeah, sure.
I could see that, but
I'm just hoping they don't do a 3-way.
Yeah, that would not be good. So anyways, so Hangman leaves. Joe's by himself again. He holds the belt up. Everyone cheers, and then all of a sudden, Hook's music plays, and they got Hook's graphic up in it looks like the bat signal. And Joe's kind of looking at it.
Nice little camera angle. I thought that was clever.
Yeah. And so finally Hook gets in. Joe actually looked, I don't know if he was worried or annoyed. Maybe a combination of both. Like worried that he was going to have to carry this kid to a match, and annoyed that he was going to have to carry this kid to a match.
I thought he looked bemused or amused.
Yeah. Well, he gets in the ring, he gets right in Joe's face, and he just says 1 week. I think that's all he said. And so that's it. They're going to wrestle next week. And Joe kind of shook his head, and he's like, yeah, well, whatever. And I mean, it's like, yeah, Hook went to the championship committee. Tony Khan, he's 28-1.
I'm sorry, but even the getup of Hook, he looked like a boy walking into a man's world.
Oh yeah. He's This was R-Truth challenging Roman Reigns is what it looked like. I mean, it's and probably not that far off. Jason in our Discord pointed out, I don't know if you saw it. So I'll give the impressive post first. Hook has not lost in 5 months. He's wrestled 3 times.
Yeah,
in 5 months, and he's beaten Jungle Boy, Wheeler Yuta, and oh god, I can't remember who the third one was, but it's probably not as impressive as either of those two. So that's how he's getting his title match.
In a fun bit of corporate synergy, the match next week is sponsored by the video game by I think it's Rocksteady is the developer, but it's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Oh, okay.
Samoa Joe does the voice of King Shark in Kill the Justice League in the video game.
Okay, so this is maybe even something to do with why he's got the belt right now.
No, well, I hope it's not because of a Warner Brothers tie-in, but might be.
Jason pointed out it's Rocky Romero was the third person, so a stellar group of people at young Mr.
Jungle Boy was kind of impressive.
Yeah, but he also lost to him.
That's true.
Yeah, so his most impressive feat was, well, no, that's Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's most impressive feat was getting CM Punk fired. So we're gonna get that next week. Hook and Joe. They announced a little bit later that Tony Khan has signed the match. So we got highlights of the Deonna Purrazzo debut from last week. I kind of like that because I mean they're making it important. And really, like, the next segment talked about it. We got an interview with Deonna Purrazzo later in the show to talk about it. So they're really telling you, hey, keep an eye on Deonna. She's important. So we got backstage in the black and white Renee, who we didn't see much of this week, but we saw her a couple times. And she's with Tony Storm, Mariah, May, and Luther. She asked for her reaction to what happened last week, and immediately Mariah jumps in and she's like, "Did you watch my match?" And Tony's like, I got a screener, but I didn't watch a single frame. Did you do what'd she do? Did you do an arm drag?
Arm drag, yeah.
Did you do an arm drag? And she didn't really answer her. And then Renee's like, no, I want to ask you about Deonna. And then Mariah's like, she kicked me in the face. And then Tony said, yeah, you know what? The name sounds familiar and it sounds Italian. And she says, I feel like the prettiest girl to dance. Everybody wants me. So Luther, why don't you set up a meeting with Miss Deonna Purrazzo?
Oh no, Donna Purrazzo.
Oh, Donna Purrazzo. Sorry, my bad. And then she says, chin up, tits out, line. And then Mariah says, shoe. And then Tony looks at her and she's like, you ruined my moment. And that was it. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, because she did ask for her line.
She did, but I think they were playing off something and Mariah didn't get it or something.
No, that's fine. This was what it was.
It was on this.
I was expecting the shoe to get thrown back into the screen at Mariah or Renee.
But on the scale of Tony Storm like segments, this was probably slightly above average. Because I usually
it's about average.
I didn't hate this one.
Oh, really? I don't hate the segments. I just think it's bad for her in the long run. But that's me.
I do think that she seems to be treating Deonna a little more seriously than she treats most people. So I kind of like that. So next we got Sammy Guevara and Ricky Starks. And this was really interesting because I think originally when they booked this, they had announced that Chris Jericho was going to be accompanying Sammy Guevara. When they did the interview to hype this up on Rampage, they didn't air it in front of the crowd. When they did their interview to hype this matchup on Saturday, every time Ricky Starks mentioned Jericho's name, they got boos. So I think they're really
They're cognizant.
Yes, they're trying to see if this is going to die down. And so they had this match, and I don't know. Taz brought up Cody Rhodes when he was talking about Stark's first match. They talked a lot about, the pandemic and this and that, but they were talking a lot about that tonight, and just, about how Jay Lee's place is their home and everything. They're still hyping up this tag match on Saturday. Starks was mocking Sammy by sticking out his tongue. Crowd wasn't really into the match. They didn't really like Sammy. I think they kind of like Starks, but he's a heel. So they did a spot where Starks slid into the second turnbuckle, and then he hit his face in it. Sammy went for the GTH, but Starks reversed them and stacked him for a 2 count. And then they were just doing a couple spots, and then Sammy hit a super kick, and he rolled him up, and I'm like, okay, he's going to kick out at 2. And he pinned him. Like, he pinned him off a super kick. We see like 800 super kicks in every single match, and here it was a finish.
I think there were 2 kicks in there. There was the first one, then the second one, and then the roll up.
Either way,
Taz seemed to be explaining that you take 2 kicks like that, and I agree, it looked weird.
Yeah, like
it reeked of doing a concussion angle, but I also think it played into. I think the whole point of this was they were saying that Ricky was playing possum.
Yeah, because he's down for a while. It took him a while to get up.
But everything about this made no sense.
Sammy checked on him, right? And he was trying to see if he was okay.
Yes.
And then Starks is like, yeah, I'm fine. And then he gave him his hand, and then Starks went to shake his hand. And then you're like, what the hell is going on here? And then, of course, it was a setup for Big Bill to attack. But what did you want to say?
Well, the wrestling itself, it was a heatless 2 3/4 star match.
Yeah, I gave it
3. You should around 3, something like that.
Yeah.
But where really this would have been good to build some heat for the tag team match within the match itself versus just the post match angle. Just fine.
But I think there's a reason why they did it this way, and
they did to bring out Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho got a pop, which hey, maybe everything's forgiven now.
Did he?
Yeah, it sounded like it to me on the TV.
It's hard to tell because they let the music play the whole time.
Yeah, the New Jack.
Because they did not want to stop that music.
But the entire setup of this thing made no logical sense. Why would Sammy be shaking a guy's hand who's been a heel for 2 months? Well, and Tony tried to clean up. I go, well, they've been friends for a long time. Well,
yeah, that was weak sauce.
Yeah.
They shook hands, and I'm like, I even wrote down, what the fuck? And then and then Bill attacks Sammy from behind, and I'm like, okay, so the babyface gets the win, and then he gets beat up by the heels. I mean, that's total WWE trope. And then Jericho's music hits, and he comes out, and he's got Floyd. And the music gets a pop, right?
Yeah, it got a pop.
And then that's the thing. So they never shut the music off because I think
because they were afraid. Yeah,
yes.
No, I agree because they were afraid.
Yeah, and so the music stayed on. They did this wild brawl. They went into the crowd. They were going back and forth, and this was kind of like the main event too, like where there's a million things going on, but the camera can't keep track of any of it. And Jericho was like firing up the crowd, but it was just really weird. Jericho and Bill fought through the crowd. Bill threw Jericho into a wall, and I thought that was going to be like a big heat angle. And then the next,
I wanted the match after. I mean, this went on for so long. I wanted it just to turn into a match. And
I think the post match was almost as long as the match, and definitely had more heat.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
When they did the spot of like Big Bill throwing Jericho into this like concrete wall, the next thing you see is Jericho was like fighting back. Like it was like it didn't even happen. And it was just weird. And the angle that they did it at, like I guess maybe he didn't actually hit the wall, but it kind of looked like he did. So it was just kind of really weird. And then Jericho was slapping hands with the fans as they cut away. And it was just all really weird. And they're doing a match. So I'm wondering if they're going to do the New Jack thing on Saturday and just have the music playing the whole match.
Well, they're in Hawkins country. It would go over well. So
the other thing that I saw speculated
Norfolk,
is
Virginia, which is
they
military.
Maybe tape like a lot of it and not in front of fans,
like a backstage brawl type thing.
Because it's a street fight, so then you can control the crowd.
Yeah, I mean they seem. I don't know if I were there tonight, I'd say I think we can get away with it doing it live. Okay. I do. It sounded like they had a good crowd, but you know what? If they want to be careful, it wouldn't shock me either. I think you're right.
But then in Charleston, they might not be as in tune with, all the backstage online crap, and they might just,
They're not in Charleston. They're in Norfolk.
Or Norfolk. Okay. So, what is this? More than 2 months he turned on Punk. What is he
Oh,
talking about?
I think I said a couple months, and
Okay, gotcha.
I meant a few months. I'm sorry for my
No. God, okay,
misspeak.
that's
No, I'm
not
apologizing to Jason. He's the
okay.
only guy listening right now. Oh
No, there's like 12
second.
people watching.
Oh, are there? Okay.
Make sure everybody, if you're watching for the first time, hit the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Mariah May or Tiffany Stratton? I'm taking Tiffany all day, every day, in ring, in video, package character. I'm behind watching. Did you see the NXT skits?
The skits were bad.
Yeah.
But because there wasn't I'll break that down on Shake Them Ropes.
Yeah, but
in terms of the comedy.
But Tiffany, I mean, in terms of in-ring, based on what I've seen, I mean, Tiffany's all day, every day. But
she's a better athlete. I mean, she was a high caliber. No, she was a high caliber athlete going into wrestling. So,
but I'm not going to judge Mariah May based on one squash match.
No.
Yeah. Next up, speaking of women, we got Willow Nightingale, Kris Statlander, Anna Jay, and Thunder Rosa against Skye Blue, Julia Hart, and the Outcasts of Saraya and Ruby Soho.
That pop for Julia Hart shocked me.
Well, you know what? She's come up through the company.
I mean, it was noticeable to me.
She needs to be a babyface at soon, I think. But I don't know how they do it. Or maybe not.
Do we do Stevie Nicks, Julia Hart as a babyface?
Well, I mean,
we got to turn the House of Black.
Yeah, I don't know. Or they just keep doing what they're doing and let them cheer.
I think that's probably it.
Yeah, but I mean, clearly I think she's right now probably it's either her or Toni Storm are the biggest star in the women's division. Willow Nightingale has a potential to get there, but I don't know what the hell they're doing with Stokely Hathaway. And I think that's going to screw up whatever's going on with Willow.
Well, you did enjoy Kris Statlander and her lizard?
No.
Neither did I. That was one of the weirdest promo segments I've ever seen.
Well, weirder than the one where she was giving Renee curls or whatever. Remember that one?
Yeah, well, it was on par, but it's let's take 2 charisma vacuums and give them. I mean, look,
the lizard had more charisma.
I'm used to it because, in the 80s, they do that all the time. They'd throw people out there and go, let's see if you can get over or not. And they'd give bad promos. I'm like, okay, they tried, whatever.
They never even addressed the fact she had a lizard on her arm.
It was almost a bit. It was
Boots seems to like it. And what did somebody say? It was
they're doing prop comedy and they never acknowledge the prop.
Boots isn't the name, it's a prediction. That's what the lizard's going to turn into.
They would have been better off sticking the microphone in the lizard's face.
Yes.
During that promo.
Yeah.
Good God.
But anyways, this match, I mean, we talked a little bit about it earlier. I mean, it was the same match as the men's match earlier. The fans loved Rosa. Tony Schiavone was pointing out how much these young ladies have developed, and he was really trying to put the division over as a whole, talking about all the different things they all got going on. And then, the new people that have come in and all this, I guess Ruby and Saraya are probably new since the Daily's Place day. There's something weird going on with Ruby's hair. At first I thought she had a perm, and then when she was wrestling, it kind of straightened out. So I don't know, maybe she had a hat on earlier. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was basically the same thing. They eventually set up for, the spot where everybody hits their moves, and Julia Hart ended up hitting the Queen Slayer on Skye Blue, and Skye Blue tapped. Earlier, she had tried to do it to Julia Hart, but Julia Hart got away. So this ended up setting up a match that they're going to be doing next week, or no, on Saturday, actually. Julia Hart and Anna Jay for the title. So Julia Hart's winning streak, Anna Jay's winning streak will be ending at 1.
Yeah, but at least they did something with the win. As opposed to Preston and Vance, which they're not.
They didn't do anything. What they set up was the team that lost is getting a 6-man title match. Did you catch that?
What?
So Gates of Agony and Brian Cage, who lost, are going to be wrestling Lance Archer and the Righteous for the 6-man belts. That's what that 8-man set up. It does, sure. Lance Archer, I guess he didn't get pinned, so. But yeah,
all right, heel on heel action. I can stand it
yeah,
for one time as long as they
that'll be a
build it a
fine
little bit.
match. Yeah,
It'll be fine.
fans will probably
Dutch can do some things, and Vincent can
fans
snap.
will probably cheer for the Gates of Agony in that one.
Yeah, no, no, they'll root for Jake. Everybody loves Jake. If Jake's there,
Yeah. I could see that. Or it might not have any heat
to
at all.
answer Jason's question, I still don't understand how Julia went to the wrong side of the suplex spot.
Yeah.
What was that with Thunder Rosa?
Think so. Oh,
'Cause
yeah, I didn't mention this.
Thunder Rosa's
Oh my
left-handed. I think that
god.
might be, or Julia's left-handed. One of the
They
two of them
had
is
the
left-handed.
most convoluted spot where they did like an 8-person suplex, and like I was literally laughing at the end when Willow like just kind of runs in and where's my spot? Oh, okay. You know, it's like, oh my god.
They've done that a couple times in this company.
This was the worst.
It's an indie tradition, and
Yeah.
it needs to die a death.
It's fine when it feels a little more organic than it did
Yes,
here,
but it never feels organic. It's like Tower of Doom spots in multi-woman matches.
From the time they were at like 3 people, you knew they were going to get to 8, and they took forever to get there. So that was the other problem. But yeah,
I'm channeling my inner coronet tonight. I apologize.
So I didn't even notice through the whole match, but they were all wearing, the babyface were all wearing matching gear, and Anna Jay had a Brodie Lee Exalted One T-shirt on. So
she came out to the Dark Order music, I think, too.
Oh, really? Okay,
or her Dark Order
version of it.
Yeah.
Excalibur pointed out that 2023 was a career year for Skye Blue.
You think?
Well, she got 1 million title matches and lost every one of them.
I think she wrestled every week almost.
She wrestled more matches. I think Orange Cassidy might have wrestled one more time, but she wrestled like
Iron Woman award.
Yeah.
Give it to her.
53 or something. Cody Rhodes is like, dude, like he wrestled 108 times. Yes. But he speculated that 2024 might be a career year for Anna Jay. So I imagine Anna Jay, this will be the first of many title shots that Anna Jay is going to lose on Saturday.
Yes, but Cody doesn't have the love and respect of James McDaniel like Skye Blue does.
I don't think those are the two emotions that James McDaniel.
No, they are not.
No,
that's the joke, Paul. Let's keep moving.
He didn't even recognize Skye Blue without pants.
Without pants or with pants.
With pants.
Yes, I know.
Heels and faces aren't a thing in AEW. Well, honestly, think that hurts with crowds that aren't smart. That's true. What do refs do in AEW?
Well, yeah, conditioning helps, and yeah, I mean, they could have set much like the Preston Vance thing. If he had apologized to -1, they could have set something up with, why are these women teaming with Anna Jay, who has been a heel this entire time with the JAS?
Not just that, she just wrestled on Friday against Takeshita. At least with Vance, we haven't seen him in forever, so most people don't even remember that he's a heel or a face or whatever. But Anna Jay, she's on every week.
But you see, Tony's afraid of the setup and the storytelling because my fans just want good matches.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you couldn't have the Dark Order out there because they're all heels too.
Yeah.
Except, I mean, everyone's forgotten about that too.
It was such a weird combination. It's like, we're gonna put Anna Jay because they're gonna give them the win, so you put them on the babyface side, but you still have to explain that.
If you wanted to do this, you could have just done Anna Jay and the Dark Order and Preston Vance against, like Ruby and freaking the old Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah, the 2.0 and fine.
Yeah, it would have been a fun party match. But all right, we got a video package for the ROH Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta, and they called him Mr. Rampage. Apparently, he's on a 9 match winning streak on Rampage. On the show nobody watches, although they did a good number this week. So
I actually like this promo though.
This was really good promo. He's mad at Eddie Kingston for calling him a young boy a couple weeks ago. He's not going to tolerate the disrespect. He says, you beat John Moxley and Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli, but you never beat me. It's like, okay. And he says, I regained my title without any outside interference over Shibata, which is the guy you teamed with last year at All Out, and we beat you in that match. So nice little continuity there. And he says he's challenging Eddie for the Continental Crown on Rampage. So I'll see you Friday, you old bitch. I was like, this is a good promo.
There's something charming about delusional Wheeler Yuta.
Oh yeah,
there really is. I know. I mean, I've railed on. I mean, I mocked him harsher than anybody on this network when he was trying to cut promos. No, you were pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was almost insulting, and I didn't mean to be, but maybe I did. But you beat Danielson, Claudio, and Moxley, but you haven't beaten me.
That was great.
Oh, I died at that one.
Yeah. And I just want to hear Eddie's response now. And it's probably going to be, shut up and fight, bitch.
Did you see Eddie on the morning show on, I think it was Jacksonville?
I didn't, but I heard it was great.
Oh, he's just, he's like some, it's when they do these like reporter on the streets for like Nick games or something like that, and they go up to some random New Yorker. That's all Eddie Kingston was here. It's like,
okay.
Oh yeah, I just beat people up and people seem to like it.
Okay.
Next question. I mean, it's almost like he had to go the entire time, but
yeah, trying to get out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, why am I even here? I don't know.
Maybe I should watch that. I do have the link. I can easily watch it.
Not as good as say the Briscoes doing weather, but up there for me. Because I loved watching like Mark Briscoe do weather reports in Delaware on Delaware television, hyping ROH or Baltimore. It was Baltimore television. It's up there with that with me.
That would be good.
Oh, have you not seen those? Google them.
Okay.
Google them. They're fantastic.
So we heard the Undisputed Kingdom's music hit, and I didn't recognize the music. I wasn't exactly sure why. I figured they were coming up for a promo, but then the announcer starts introducing Roderick Strong, and I'm like, oh, I guess there's a match. Like, I had not heard or seen any advertising for this match. They hadn't talked about it at all. But we got a match, and it was Roderick Strong against Brian Keith, the bounty hunter. And by the end of this match, I thought they need to change his nickname from the bounty hunter to Black Commander, because he's just the guy that goes out there and has good matches and loses. Like, that's what he does.
Again, he's a bounty hunter. Is there a bounty on Roddy?
I'm not exactly
if
sure.
If not, we need to have one so that we have him in this. Every match he's in should have a bounty. I love the gimmick.
Except it's just the name. Like, it's
that's
literally
that's the problem.
Yeah, it's not a gimmick. It's literally, I mean, maybe he does that gimmick on the indie scene, but here he's just the guy that loses every week.
It's a costume and a nickname.
They had a good match. It's funny because Brian Keith took 90% of this match, and then at the end, Roddy hit the high knee and his endohardic backbreaker and got the 3. While Mike Bennett counted it down on camera. I love that. They got to keep doing that. And then Tony Schiavone said he had a dominant victory. Like, after he just got his ass kicked for, it was like 5 minutes, and 4.5 of it was Brian Keith winning.
I wonder if he gets signed this week.
I mean, okay.
Danielson loves him, and I think that's why he's been on TV so much.
Okay. So it's funny that you say, I wonder if he gets signed this week, because what happens is we see these guys and they're on TV every week, and then they get signed, and then we never see them again.
Yeah,
Wheeler Yuta was in an angle for a year, and then all of a sudden 1 week, Wheeler Yuta is all elite. I'm like, what?
I remember he lost like 3 matches, and then they signed him, and he's all in, and then we didn't see him for
Skye Blue. It was like a year before she got signed. I mean, so whatever. Yeah, I mean, if he's signed, he's signed. If he's not, he's not. Either way, he's on TV every week. I assume he's getting paid, so good for him. I like him. He's a good dude. He does good matches.
I want character work out of him, though. That's the thing.
But if he gets signed, he's going to be on ROH.
Oh no, if he gets signed, he's going to be on ROH or in the Rampage multi-tags with the Luchadors.
Yeah. And he'll show up in these battle royals where the winner gets a title shot, and and
4 ways with Brian Cage, sure,
and tagging up with Commander He literally tagged up with Commander on Collision in a ROH title proving ground match. In the match, they told us no one has ever lasted 10 minutes with the champs, like in the history of ROH. So
I'm all for making tag teams dominant, but the Kingdom, all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best tag team in ROH history, as we were about to hear. So Tony Schiavone after the match called Roddy Strong evil and a liar and no better than the guy in the crutches. And they wouldn't even say Adam Cole's name. He's so disgusted. And Cole, they set up the chair in the middle of the ring after the match. And Cole was getting some real heat here, like actual heel heat. Only guy on the show probably that got heel heat. And he said, when I said this place was going to change, that wasn't just a cute thing to say. I meant it. You know what? I wrote down everything he said here, and it was good stuff. But he didn't say a damn thing in this promo that he didn't say last week.
Exactly.
It was literally.
Thank you.
It was literally.
Do you have your notes from last week? Can you read the Adam Cole promo?
Okay.
Side by
So
side?
I do. I got it. I can get it pretty quickly, actually. Hang on. What was the
While
date
you're
last week?
while you're
January
doing
3rd?
that,
January 3rd. Here it is.
Yes.
I got him. I got him.
Okay. Now compare
while I'm
them.
doing it, because I got the notes, but now I gotta find the quote. So what were you gonna say?
They are going so hard on this Wardlow. We are going to be the champions rehash / MJF / Christian type angle with them. I think he's aligned with Joe.
Okay. Who? Cole?
No, Wardlow.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Possible.
They should not be playing it this hard. Unless he's not really a member of this group.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. They might just be stupid.
I try. You say it so simply, and I'm trying to be nice and couch my words and stuff. But you're exactly correct here, Paul.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I got it. Now I'm gonna cut out
effing idiots over there.
I'm gonna skip the stuff that he said about MJF because MJF is no longer here and he wasn't mentioned on this show, and I don't think he will be until he comes back. So he said, the Undisputed Kingdom, aside from our disdain from the guy who doesn't work here anymore, we want championship gold. Bennett and Taven are the ROH tag team champions. My real best friend Roddy going after the international title. Wardlow, finally with a group of people who respect him, will go after the AEW World Championship. And when I'm 100% healthy, Wardlow will do the right thing and forfeit the AEW World Championship. Give it to me. Congrats to Samoa Joe. Pleasure doing business with you. Blah, blah, blah. So that was last week. And he dropped the mic.
Yes.
Yeah. So this week, he says, when I said this place was going to change, that wasn't a cute thing to say. I meant that. So many are concerned with earning their respect. We aren't worried about you at all. We don't want to earn anything because we deserve it. Roderick Strong, a 20-year veteran, one of the most physical, incredible, and pound-for-pound, bell-to-bell greatest wrestlers alive today. The international title has Roddy's name on it. Taven and Bennett, the greatest ROH tag team champions of all time, and your current ROH tag team champions, never gotten the respect they deserve. They'll go down as one of the greatest tag teams that's ever lived. And of course, the monster, the dominator, one of the most physical, vicious men in AEW history, Wardlow. Crowds chanting for Wardlow. He says, now that Wardlow is surrounded by people that actually respect him, we're going to win the AEW World Championship. Boys and girls, say hello. He says, we are going to win the AEW World Championship. Key there. Boys and girls, say hello to your new home, your new kingdom. Do me a favor, get comfortable. We'll be here for a very, very long time. And he drops the mic again, and he looked in the camera and said, boom. He's not trying to get the crowd to chant boom, which is nice. But yeah, so I mean,
Wardlow becomes leader of this faction, which I'd be fine with too.
Well, yeah, maybe somebody puts out Adam Cole, so he can
Wardlow
take time off. Here's a question. John asked, why limit the ROH tag Roddy with international and Wardlow Cole for the world? I mean, yeah. Well, they kind of are, aren't they? Oh, I guess they could go for the
well, who do you want to call out Christian? Wasn't Roddy supposed to go after the TNT title originally?
No, he's going after the international title.
I know, but last week I thought he was going, or like when this thing.
No, it's the international. He mentioned the international both times. Yeah.
Yes, we're going to maintain heel face.
Roddy Strong has quietly racked up some big wins.
He's very good. I like him.
But he beat Jericho. He beat Darby.
Yeah.
Look at his record. He's got some big wins.
And yet it feels like he has the handcuffs on in terms of his heel work, because I've watched crowds almost riot at PWG off of Roddy promos.
Yeah. Of
course, there was some very cheap heat and some things that you shouldn't say.
He is a great live arena promo. He's not a great TV promo. Although
you're right.
Yeah. So, because I've actually been rewatching a lot of the old ROH stuff from like 2010, 2011, and he was a vacuum of charisma on that show on HDNet. But but he was the world champ. He won the title, and when they got off TV, that's when he started getting heat when they lost their TV contract. But yeah, ROH champion Roddy Strong cost them their TV title contract. So that's how good he is. But yeah, this was the same promo as last week, but fans hated them, so that's good. They're not even trying to get cheered.
Fans booed them. I don't want to say they hated them. They were playing their role.
Okay.
Because this wasn't a hateable promo.
Well,
this was an Adam Cole promo.
Yeah, a total Adam Cole promo. This was
his one promo that he brings out every time he's leading a faction.
Story time with Adam Cole, baby.
Well, it's not even that. It's just we're the best stable in the company, and I'm gonna win the world title.
Yeah,
that's his promo.
This time it's Wardlow's gonna win the world title.
Yeah,
give it to me. All right. Renee was backstage with Deanna, asked her how she's feeling. She says, I'm on cloud 9. And she says, what did I write here? If Tony Storm wants to pretend she doesn't know who I am, she says, my people will send her a screener.
This is great.
She said she can watch my debut on Collision, and Red Velvet shows up, and I'm making my debut as well. And I'm thinking, they're going to have 2 matches? Nope. Nope. They're going to wrestle each other. They did have 2 women's matches on Rampage, and they did their best ratings in months. So maybe we'll see more than 1 women's match a show. I'm not going to hold my breath about it, but they did it once. I think I predicted that on the Boom show. So.
Number 1, Deanna Purrazzo, 100% better on this promo. Confident, knew what she wasn't nervous at all. The warble was gone.
It wasn't really in front of fans. That's probably why.
Number 2, I know I am president of the Red Velvet Appreciation Society. She has charisma up the yazoo, man.
She's got quite the yazoo.
Don't make it uncomfortable for me. Don't make it uncomfortable for me.
All right.
I'm just saying that they need to properly use this woman who in a division that doesn't have a lot of charisma in it. Saraya, Ruby has a weird charisma to her. Tony, of course, has charisma to her. Everybody has a little bit to it, but I mean, the reaction of, is that your little stir thing when she did that? It was just a perfect reaction. I'm just like, use her more and quit sticking her with Kiera Hogan and people like that. I just, it's frustrating to me. I know she's not the greatest wrestler in the world. I get that, but she's not a charisma black hole either that a lot of the good wrestlers are. I don't know. I'd figure out, and she's a better baby face too to me than heel. I don't understand why we still continue to make her a heel when she is a great baby face to me. Like, she plays to the crowd, she winks, she smiles. She knows what she's doing.
On that. It's because the better lines tend to go to the heels, and she delivers them well.
Actually, you know what? That's a good point.
Yeah.
Villains say much more interesting things than heroes.
And she's got great delivery on her
that's
promo,
true.
So.
That's true.
So we got JR came out for commentary for the main event, and he was actually pretty good here.
He was awake and lively. It was interesting.
Yeah. Well, Hobbs was in there. He loves Powerhouse, and he loves Sting. Yeah.
Yes.
And Flair got an intro. They played his music. They got his original music, and he was in his glory, and the fans loved him. So, whatever. I got pulled away during the intros here, so I don't know if anything interesting happened in the intros, but I came back as the match was starting, and this was just a wild brawl. It was false count anywhere, no DQ, no count out. And they brawled all over the place. They needed a split screen here because there's a million things going on, and they kept cutting back and forth between them, and they kept missing stuff. But it was basically Takeshita and Darby against each other, and Sting and Hobbs. And they went back. They got into that spot where they Takeshita was like staring down Flair a bunch of times, but then could never get his hands on him. Darby went for a coffin drop, but Takeshita caught him and hit him with rolling Germans on the ramp, and then that got us into commercial. And we came back, and there's 5 minutes left in the show. And Tony Schiavone had told us we are going to get a 5-minute overrun. So I'm thinking, okay, we got like 10 minutes here. And
we'll get to the overrun.
Well, they did a spot, and this was great. Hobbs and Takeshita swinging Darby, like they do the birthday bumps, and they threw him across the ring,
like
literally across the ring.
And
he did like 3 revolutions in the air. His neck landed on the bottom rope.
I thought he broke his neck. I thought he had broken his neck, man.
My God, that did not look fun. Sting came back and he beat both of them with chops. He did a stinger splash on Hobbs, but then he tried to do one to Takeshita, but Takeshita hit him with a running knee. Darby got up. He seemed he was okay. This is the spot where so Hobbs is going to hit Sting with a chair, and Flair came in to make the save. and he chopped Hobbs. And I mean, Hobbs just like, it was like a mosquito. And then he poked him in the eye, and he actually sold the eye poke. And then Takeshita went after Flair, but Sting made the save, and then Flair got out of there. And Darby's back to his feet. He barreled into Takeshita on the outside with a dive. Spinebuster by Sting on Hobbs. They went back on the stage. Hobbs dropped Sting with something, but the camera missed it. Darby hit a sleeper on Takeshita. So they ended up, they went back. Darby, this is where Darby hit the coffin drop on Takeshita. He climbs up like the ramp at the top of the stage. He's about 15 feet in the air, and he does a coffin drop on Takeshita. And they did a wide shot because everyone was down, and the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." And then Hobbs and Sting were the first ones up, and then Hobbs is like carrying him across, like they're walking along this barricade or stage or whatever. And then Sting ends up getting in control, gives him a scorpion death drop off the stage through a table. Sting's landing did not look great. But he crawled over and he pinned to Hobbs. Crowd chanted, "Holy shit." And so Sting and Darby get the win. JR was really putting this over. Flair came out over there to help Sting up, and it was like everyone was checking on Sting, but he was fine. And they're like, it was still like 1 minute before the show was scheduled to end, and this match is over. So I'm like, okay, they must be doing an angle.
Well, let me talk about the match a little bit.
Okay.
Aftermath. I just love the visual of, any of the three guys that are regulars now in the Callis family, but especially Takeshita and Hobbs. They just look like pro wrestlers in a pro wrestling tag team going out there. Tall, jacked, athletic dudes.
Big, black, and jacked.
Oh my goodness. It was like, watching like Norton and Ice Train come out, man. Those types of teams, those teams I love. And also that like the early 90s Hoss teams that would always, I loved that. That death drop. I think the one from the rafters that, or from the crowd that Darby did.
Oh.
Takeshita had already taken one of these drops. He was not going to take this one. So he basically tries to catch him with his arm, but he doesn't get any of it really. And Darby just kind of lands on the ground there.
Oh my God.
I was just like, dude,
he's going to kill himself.
You can't olay that crap. You either have to take the shot or say, I'm not taking the bump. Don't do it. It had to be one of those two things, because that was some Miz style catching from Takeshita, and I don't blame him necessarily. Flair makes Joe Biden look like a ninja.
Oh my God.
That man looked as like my dad is like 4 years older and moves better than Flair looked like, because Flair looked like, it was slow motion coming up. Those chops were, it was good that Hobbs no-sold him for a moment, because there's no oomph to those chops at all. Did like the eye poke. I thought that was kind of clever. But then I'm watching the action go on, but I'm really watching Flair gingerly
crawling out of the ring. Yeah.
Crawl out of the ring, get down on his knees, get to the floor. I was just like, don't ever let him do that again. If
he was in his glory, though.
The crowd loved it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, the crowd ate it up.
Yeah.
But he only gets one more physicality in the ring, and that's during the Sting match. During Sting's last match, and that's it. Never again. Because
he's gonna put the figure 4 on Nick Jackson. You know that, right?
Or Kenny Omega. Yeah.
Oh God.
Somebody from the Elite is getting a figure 4 put on them. I think it's one of them. Yeah, probably. But no, but overall, look, and again, Sting and Darby are just insane people for two different reasons. Like Sting is just like, last time in Jacksonville, let me do a blind death drop to a table I'm not looking at.
And I'm gonna land with my head on the floor.
With my head on the floor.
I'm taking bump lessons from Nick Wayne.
Well, he's been bumping like I know. You remember when he came off the ladder into his chest? I swore he had broken 4 ribs.
This dude, I don't know how he's doing it. I really don't.
I kept saying that Flair was going to die in the ring. Sting might be the one to die in the ring eventually.
As much as I like seeing Sting wrestle, and this was a great match, I don't want to see Sting wrestle again until Revolution. I really don't.
one last big bump on the bump card.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And he can jump from something high if he wants, as long as he's caught. But I don't know if I want the Bucks being the ones to catch a giant Sting coming at them. Because they're not exactly size guys, but okay.
So Sting makes his way to his feet, and Tony Schiavone gets in the ring, and Sting I think he's out of it. And because Tony is trying to get his attention, trying to get him to look at the hard cam because he wants to interview him, and he says, "You got to talk to America, talk to the people out there." And so he turns around and he says, "Ticket sales have gone through the roof. There's going to be people watching on pay-per-view, and ticket sales are through the roof. There are over 15,000 tickets now for this show." And
I would say about flying out. That's how much I kind of want to see this. But
this is going to be a legit sellout.
Yeah,
and it's going to be amazing. And so he asked him, "Who's your opponent going to be?" And I at this point I'm like, maybe he's going to say Darby. Like, I don't know. And then before he can say anything, the Bucks music plays, and the announcers act like they don't recognize the music, and it's like it's the Bucks. Like, it's pretty distinctive.
I didn't at first. I gotta be honest with you.
Oh, really? Oh, no!
And it was one of those weird things where I saw earlier in the day that the Bucks were at the show.
Oh, I didn't even know that. So
and it was like, okay, well, and then I hear this music. I go, that doesn't sound like Christian's music, because I kept thinking it was gonna be Christian. It was gonna be his last.
I thought. Well, I thought it was gonna be Edge and Christian. I figured.
And so you get the guitar, like, they're gonna do him against the Bucks. All right, that's interesting, but still not what I'd imagine my greatest, in my wildest dreams would I ever think that the Bucks were gonna be. But I could also see the Bucks going, "We're gonna carry the 63-year-old man to a 5-star match because Dave Meltzer's gonna eat this up." That kind of a thing.
Dave might be there. He's talking about going too.
That's ironic because Dave hated Sting all these years.
I know. Well, you know what though? I mean, look at all those Bucks matches. They're constantly using the Scorpion Deathlock in their matches. It's not the sharpshooter. We're gonna retcon all that.
I think it's a respect thing. I think
those sharpshooters they were doing are now Scorpion Deathlocks. This was long-term storytelling to set up Sting's last match.
But so my they God, come out. This stare down was just.
We cannot gloss over the when them coming out. So they come out. Nick Jackson is wearing all white. Matt Jackson is wearing all black. I don't know if they got haircuts.
That was navy blue. That was a navy blue.
Was it?
Thing. Yeah.
Well, their hair is all slick back or cut. I'm not sure which. They have just single
dumbest stashes you've ever seen.
Porn stashes. Nick Jackson looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not exactly sure who Matt Jackson looked like.
It felt like a movie, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was.
Yeah, it was they're probably cosplaying something.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, they're in black and white, or I guess you said dark blue, but I mean, it seemed to me like it was black and white because Sting and Darby have black and white. So
okay,
they're kind of playing off that. They didn't say
anything. Longshoreman is what one of them.
Yeah,
the dark one was. The guy in the white looked like he was on. It's like a tourist in Paris or something.
Like goons in a Jason Statham movie.
Yeah.
Like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, like something like that. I don't know. But they just stand there. They don't say anything. And the announcers are just getting all hyped up. And they're airing graphics for what's coming up on Collision. So we got Adam Copeland, Open Challenge, Velvet and Deanna. Hangman Page will be in action, and this is where they announced the Cage and Gates of Agony against Lance Archer and the Righteous. So if you blinked, you missed it. That's for the ROH 6-man belts. And then Battle of the Belts, which is also on Saturday, has Jericho and Sammy against Big Bill and Ricky Starks in a, I think it's a street fight for the tag team titles, and Anna Jay and Julia Hart for the TBS titles. So, and then next week, it's going to be, I can't remember. I didn't write it down, but they did say what it's going to be. It's Joe and Hook for the world title.
Yes.
And then the announcers just said, "Oh, I guess final countdown's on. It's going to be the Young Bucks at Revolution on March 5th or 3rd or whatever date it is." So
it's just something funny. A friend of mine puts a picture of Spy versus Spy.
Oh, yeah.
With the white and the black.
Yeah. It was weird. It was different. And I mean, so everyone's saying, "Oh, whatever, Sting's gonna put some over Young." They're losing to Sting and Darby, like no question. Like, there's no
Yes.
way the Young Bucks are winning.
Sting is winning his last match. He's not
Yeah.
going over by putting over somebody or looking at
Yeah.
the lights, I don't think.
No, I mean, that would be stupid. I mean, I suppose if they want to make Young Bucks major heels, they could have them win. But
They could, but if you're going to do that, I mean, if you're going to,
you do it with somebody else.
the choice would be Darby versus Sting if you're going to have Sting lose.
Yeah, yeah. Or again, you some young tag team that you really want to put over, like Bill and Starks. You know, like they could have done that.
I know. I think I know what they were cosplaying. You remember Saturday Night Live? You know how they like to do the Steve Martin, Dan Aykroyd thing?
Oh, the two Wild and Crazy Guys?
Two Wild and Crazy Guys. I think those were like outfits from one of those sketches.
But they didn't have mustaches, those dudes. I don't think.
Aykroyd and Martin, yeah, they did. Those.
Did they? I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think so. Okay, now you got me Googling it.
Well, that's okay. I think I'm wrong too. So
what do you guys what do you think about this one?
Think of what?
I got it here. They definitely did not have mustaches.
Okay. Well, I mean, I thought there was one, but maybe not.
Well, I could send you.
I don't know. I've seen that type of those outfits before, and I don't know what it was, but it feels like a movie or pop culture reference. Someone will point it out. Never mind.
Oh, they'll definitely point it out to us. What the hell? They're gonna sing you the StreamYard link again. Oh. Anyways, you can find the same thing I did.
The Festrunk Brothers. That's the name of the bit.
So it's not Two Wild and Crazy Guys.
Well, yeah, they call it that, but yeah, they had names.
Okay. Yeah. I just sent you the GIF anyways. That was one of my favorites. But yeah, so it's gonna be the the match will be great. And Sting should put over someone. If not, what's the point? The point is Sting went his whole AEW career.
Yeah, look, it's not the territory days anymore where the veteran puts a guy over on the way out. I mean, the legends now get the pin on their last match.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure if it was up to Sting, he would want.
Will there be a stipulation on this match, or will this be like a? I mean, what's going to be the stipulate? Well, what's the? Is this a street fight? Is this a Falls Count Anywhere? Is this
probably Falls Count Anywhere street fight? Yeah, I would think.
Greensboro street fight.
Submission match? I don't know.
No, it's not going to be a submission match.
I mean, Sting is gonna have both Bucks in a Scorpion Deathlock. Probably that's the.
Oh, he's doing the double death drop on them.
Yeah, and then the Scorpion Death Drop, or I mean the Scorpion Leg Lock. Like that's gonna be the finish. Because they do that move. I mean, it's a sharpshooter, but what would have been good in Greensboro would have been FTR. I'm sure they wanted the match, but it doesn't really make sense. So bunkhouse match, yeah, that works. They're gonna have probably Flair's. Obviously, Flair's gonna be there. They'll have hopefully some other legends. I don't know who's left. Nikita, he'll be there.
Arn, Nikita,
yeah, Magnum, Muda, yeah, that'd be a good one.
Although Muda's been working with WWE of late, so who knows?
That's true, yeah. But everybody that's available.
Luger in his wheelchair.
Tony Khan, say what you want about Tony Khan. He is going to make this a special show. Yeah. I'm fully confident in that.
See if Rick Steiner gets booed.
Yeah. He's probably WWE too. I heard
that's true.
Braun might be starting to use a Steiner name again. I think he changed it. He changed his name on Twitter.
All right, this is an AEW show.
I know. All right, so that was the show, and so we got our main event. I mean, what are we about 7, 8, 9 weeks out? Yeah, 9 weeks out. Yeah. So we got our main event. We can start building to that. Luger works for WWE, so it can't be him.
He has a Legends contract.
He does, yeah.
Get paid.
Yeah. Get paid, absolutely. So let's do our plugs. We actually went longer than I thought we would.
Sure. You can follow me at CrapGame13 on Elon Musk's lovely X. I do a show called Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network with Chris Novembrino. This week, all things WWE and NXT and stateside and whatever happens in the news, because something will happen tomorrow or Friday that we'll be able to talk about. Also, hey, if you watched Raw this week, I did the post game over on Fightful with Sean Ross Sapp. Went to the old neighborhood. It was a lot of fun. Filled in for Denise Salcedo. People said you're uglier than Denise. I said I know. But anyways, that's on all your available podcatchers everywhere.
And even if you didn't watch Raw, you can go listen to that and find out what happened.
Yes.
It is Fontaine week on Fight Game Media.
All right.
I was back with Ryan Frederick yesterday on the in the clinch. We had a month off, but we're back and we did a show last night, so it's in your podcast feed. And then tomorrow I'm with Jeremy Finestone on Speaking of Strong Style. Gonna be talking some New Japan. My first time on that show. I'm looking forward to that. And then this weekend I'm doing the wrap with Keela Cash and Scott Young, talking all things WWE. So I got a busy week. And then next week I'm going to be away, but I will be doing this show. I'm going to bring my stuff with me, and hopefully it goes well. I'll be doing the show from my hotel room in Laughlin, Nevada. I got to watch Dynamite or pretend I did and read the F4W recap. I'm not sure which yet. You'll probably be able to tell if you listen to the show.
If you want to borrow my TNT subscription, I'll let you.
No. I've got Fight. I can.
Okay.
I have no problem watching it. It's just a matter of whether I will or not. No, I'll watch it.
Live from the crap table.
Yeah, blackjack table. Yeah, I'll watch it on my phone, and then I could actually do that, but I won't. I'm a professional. So yeah, Jeff and I will be back next week, and we'll be doing the show. So you can look forward to that, and I'll tell you about all my winnings and losses from Laughlin. So for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine, and this has been the Dynamite Show.